Years ago, I was cleaning out a barn on a family farm, and in one of the stalls, stored clear at the back of the stall, was a set of broom making equipment. And so I pulled the equipment out. I'd seen it actually used at a craft show a couple of years before that, another set of equipment that a gentleman was using. And so I took it back to my house, thinking I would just restore it, because I was really interested in just the equipment. But after I got it restored, and it took me about 10 or 12 years to get back to actually doing that. But after I restored it, I thought it was a shame to have the equipment and not know how to use it. So I went around, started visiting with broom makers in different places, and would tell them I was just really interested in learning how to make brooms. And so I would watch them for a day or so, and then I would go back to my shop and just try what they were doing and see what I could accomplish. So I've copied the style of a lot of different broom makers on my work that I do. Well, when I first started, I was doing very traditional type brooms, and I had a hockey stick that was at the shop. And I don't even remember how I ended up with it, but the blade was broken on the hockey stick, and I really hated to throw it away. I thought, it might be useful. And so after looking at it for a while, I decided if I cut the blade off, I could actually use the handle section just for a broom handle. And it was one of those that I did and had there, and somebody liked it, and it sort of prompted the thought that there were other items that possibly could be even just thrown away, that could be repurposed into broom handles. And it's really just a challenge now to be able to come up with different items. And I use a lot of different musical instruments now, lots of different sporting goods equipment, old tools, telephones of all types, and there's a lot of carvings that I have also that I've picked up. I do some carvings that are made in for broom handles, and then I have others that I just find old carvings and repurpose them as the handles. So it's very much taking items that really have, a lot of my items have outlived their intended purpose, and they're given a second chance then to be able to do something new. Well, this is a broom that I tied on the handle previously back in the shop. This one's actually, the handle's an old antique tobacco stick. And I dye all the broom corn myself. So now I'm getting ready to do the sewing on it, or the stitching on the broom. And I use a needle that I make myself. It's just a double pointed needle. And by having 2 points, that way I don't have to turn it around when I'm sewing. I can sew from either direction. And all I do to get started is I have a small knot on the end, and I'm going to bury that on the inside of the broom, and then wrap it around a couple of times. And then all I'm going to do is to sew across right where I'd come out on one side, and then back through the same place again, and gather the thread together then. And then after that point, it's just a matter of doing the same stitch each time. And you're just going to go under on one side of the broom and come out on top of the thread on the other side of the broom. And this is being sewn on what they refer to as a broom press. It's a vise that just holds the broom in place, and it was specifically built just for this task. It's this height simply because the standard broom is this height, and it'll actually adjust for the size of the broom and the height of the broom also. The broom press that I'm using, this one is probably from the 1890s, just a little bit before the turn of the century. They made them from late 1870s up to about 1910. There are actually reproductions of the broom making equipment, and what's ironic is the fact that the reproductions probably cost about 5 times the amount of the antique pieces, and the antique ones are still out there. And just about every time I find them, I go ahead and purchase them if I can, mostly because I don't want to keep them, but I'll have other people that come to me and want to learn broom making. And so what I'll do for any equipment that I find is I refurbish it. And then I usually don't even advertise the fact that I have the equipment, but I'll have someone that comes in the booth, introduces themselves and tells me that, they're really interested in learning how to do broom making and they want to, find the equipment. And so the vast majority of the time when I do broom making classes, it's a class of 1 that's coming in, and they come in and they actually are taught how to do the broom making, given all the information on where to get supplies and how to source all the different things, and even how to sign up for shows if you want to do it. And then they actually leave my shop with their own equipment, knowing how to use it, and can go out and actually start their own business if they wanted to. And we actually have had conventions of broom makers getting together. And it's a very friendly bunch. And that's one of the great things about it, is that if I ever needed anything, there's broom makers I could call up that would be more than happy to help out and to share whatever it was I needed, whether it was information or supplies or whatever. And so I've always been the same way, on helping anybody that wants to learn or helping anybody that's actually doing the business and needs anything. All I did then was just to pass the thread back over to the other side here, and then all you do is just to take that, trim it, and it should pop back into the broom and should remain on the inside there. So there's not any knot on the other end, it just holds itself together just by tension there. Depending on which broom maker you talk to, they'll have a different way of actually finishing the tops of their broom. As a matter of fact, there's many times when you can look at a broom and actually tell who made it just by the top of the broom. I guess that broom makers are like anybody else. They get in habits of doing things the same way every time, and it just becomes something that they do over the years, and it's very recognizable work. You can recognize your own, but you can also recognize somebody else's. This one, when I tied it on the handle, it's just a different way of doing a decorative area at the top of the broom, or the crown, most of the time it's referred to. And it's just, it's sort of like a basket weave or plaiting that's put on the top. It holds the broom in place, but it's more a decorative feature than something just to hold the broom together. But it does add a lot of looks to the broom. For my business side, most of the time what I do is I sell at art shows. And most of the shows I do are fine art shows, and so I'm really sort of the one person that's different at the show, because that's much more of a craft than some of the other booths. A lot of the other booths might be sculpture, or they might be painting, or photography, or glass, or some types of ceramics. So mine's a little bit different than a lot of those. And some of the shows I do now have gotten to be really large shows. So I'll do them basically on the eastern side of the United States, anywhere from the Mississippi east. I do now about 10 or 12 shows a year, and that's basically all I can produce for. It's just that I'd love to be able to do more, but since it's only me making, I can only make so many, and I only can do so many shows then. There are shows that I get invited to because a lot of these shows are very competitive to get into, even. And I get invited for a couple of different reasons. One is there's not anybody else that does what I do. And also, and they're very honest about it, it's one of the very few booths that you can go into and buy something that's not extremely expensive at an art show. Some of the art shows that I do, the booths around me might be selling items that are thousands of dollars, and that's not what you run into at my booth. It's much more affordable, and I have people come in that buy things that they're going to use, and also they buy them just for art pieces to hang up. Now, a lot of my brooms are ones that are used more as decorative art than for cleaning, although they're made so that they can be used still. And I encourage everybody to use them. It's not going to hurt them at all. And so they're made to be functional pieces of art, is what they're made to be.